When I was 15 weeks, almost 16 weeks pregnant, as a first time surrogate carrying somebody else's child, I was diagnosed with breast cancer. I get my chart notification on my phone, and then I start shaking because I'm looking for the word benign, and it says invasive ductal carcinoma. Is that what I think it is? And I copy and paste it into Google. I literally am like in shock. I was like, there's no way. I'm a perfectly healthy 34-year-old woman. That was definitely one of the hardest things ever, having to tell the baby's parents. Doing surrogacy, you're doing like an IVF pregnancy, you're doing the progesterone shots, in the butt cheek, you're doing the estrogen pills on top of everything. So we were on our second embryo transfer round, and that was beginning of October. And after we did that, I got home and we're doing all the blood tests to make sure, okay, the baby's sick this time. Is it growing this time? And that same week that I did 2 of my beta tests, we call them the HCG test, I had felt a lump in the shower. So it was the same week we confirmed baby stuck. So we're excited. We're like, yes, this one worked. I always tell people that I was being lazy that day because I usually use a loofah to wash my body in the shower. So here I am, I'm so excited. I'm freshly pregnant. The baby's stuck. I'm so happy for the family I'm caring for. And I was like, I'm not grabbing my loofah. So I put my hand, body wash on my hand. And I just immediately go to my armpit and down. And it stopped me in my tracks because it was on the far right. It was very prominent how much it stood out. And I was like, it doesn't feel big or anything, but like, hold on, what is that? So it kind of freaked me out. If I wasn't carrying someone else's baby, I would have completely just been like, oh, there's a lump there. That's weird. And they just kind of probably continued on. But because in my head, I'm like, oh my gosh, we just got the test results. Like, I'm pregnant with someone else's baby. Let me make sure I bring this up as soon as I can with my first appointment. And even the parents knew about it too. I let them know too. We were very, very clear on all of our communication. So I wanted them to be, aware of it also. Then you fast forward to my first OB appointment. That time I was 11 and a half weeks, I think, and brought it up to my OB. She did the exam. And might I add that going through the surrogacy process, you do extensive medical screening. I mean, I had 2 different breast exams in the same year. Nothing was there before. So it's just kind of one of those things where it felt like it popped up overnight. My OB was like, yeah, I feel what you're feeling. And so I was like, I know that, this is normal with pregnancy to get lumps and whatnot. And especially with IVF, with additional added hormones, it's even more common. I never had any sort of lumps or anything with my 3 children. So it was new to me. And she's like, it's common, but anytime there's anything new, we want to just check it out and be safe. My OB put in the referral for a mammogram and an ultrasound of the lump that I felt. They're like, we're not going to do the mammogram. It's not 100% necessary, but we're going to do the ultrasound and see what we can see. The gal looks at it and she was very matter of fact. I'm like a jokester. I'm laughing. I'm chit-chatting about kids and all this stuff. And she's like, well, it has some irregular margins. So I want to go ahead and get a biopsy just to be safe. And I was like, what? I'm sorry. I thought I was coming in today to be like, oh, it's a cyst. Like, I was expecting a confirmation that day, a clean bill of health. Like, okay, we got it checked out. We're fine. It's just having to do with the pregnancy. And so when she said that, I kind of went into this like panic mode, like a hermit. I was like, okay, don't start crying in her office randomly. They warned me. They said, you're probably going to get the result in your my chart before you get that phone call. And I was like, okay, I'm like, no biggie. And she's like, so it's up to you. I was like, oh, I'm opening them. I'm not going to wait. I'm going to open them. It's fine. Because in my head, I'm like, it's benign. It's totally fine. I get my chart notification on my phone. I'm like, I have a new test result. It's got to be that. And I open it. and it's a lot of pages. I'm like scrolling with my finger, and then I start shaking because I'm looking for the word benign. And let me tell you, I'm not seeing benign anywhere on these pages. And I'm like, okay, let me sit down. Okay, maybe that's it. And I'm like, okay, I don't see malignant either. So I'm looking and I go back to the top of the page. I should have just went straight to the bold writing, by the way. And it says invasive ductal carcinoma. And I'm like, carcinoma, that sounds like a cancer term. I don't know anything about cancer. It's not in my family really at all. So I was like, copy. And I'm like, shake, my whole body shaking. And I'm like, is that what I think it is? And I copy and paste it into Google. It pops up, breast cancer when I put it in there. I start freaking out and I just say one sentence to my husband and I said, I need you. And he looks over and his face looked like he's seen a ghost because he sees that I'm like full panic. And I get up and I hand him my phone. I said, tell me, is that what I think it says? And he sits down and he's like, yes, it does. I'm sorry, I'm going to start crying just thinking back to that. And so that was a hard day. Within about 15 minutes, which felt like the longest 15 minutes of my life, I get a call. And it was my angel of a nurse navigator. So I was like, it's not your guys' fault. I was warned. I was warned I was going to get the results before the phone call. And I said to them, I was like, 97% of me though was like, it's benign. I don't have breast cancer in my family and nothing. So I was like, there's no way. I'm perfectly healthy, 34-year-old woman. Never had anything like this. That was definitely one of the hardest things ever, having to tell, the baby's parents. Because like I said, they were very well aware I was getting a biopsy done. So that night is when my husband and I called them on speaker. And I had to have him talk. I couldn't even do it. I'm like, here I am telling my sisters and my best friend, but I was like, I can't bring myself to say the words to the parents of the baby that I'm carrying the whole world right now. So they knew something was up right when they heard Terry's voice, my husband. I can only imagine being on the flip side of this and having to be in their shoes during all of this, because their immediate response was, thinking about my health and my safety over their babies. So it was a hard conversation, and I just kept telling him, and I was like, it's not going to come to that. It's going to be fine. It's going to be okay. I can feel it. It's going to be okay. So that first month of January was such a blur. So many doctor appointments, several a week. We made sure every single choice we made in my care, everybody was involved. It was my husband and I, it was my 4 care team, the MFM, my OB, oncologist, and breast surgeon. And then also my IPs. So we call them IPs. They're called, intended parents, just shortened it. And I wanted to make sure that everybody was on the same page. Chemo, they were like, you're going to have to do chemo. We can tell you that just from your diagnosis. It's not one of the cancers where you can get away with just, targeted therapy or radiation or anything like that. They're like, it needs chemo, especially with your age. You're young, you're healthy. So we started with surgery had to come first, which was also scary. I'm like, I am pregnant. The options, versus like a lumpectomy versus mastectomy, because it was only on my right side, but we actually took both breasts. We decided on a double, and that was my choice, honestly. I was like, take them both. They fed 3 babies amazingly. Thank you so much. Take them off of me, though. I am done. They have done their job. And I was 21 weeks pregnant during surgery, and it went super well. So we did that. And then the next game plan was starting chemo after I recovered from surgery. And even before, I've heard of people getting chemo during pregnancy. I don't even know where I've heard it from. But most people are like, wait, Shelby, you can get chemo while pregnant? And I'm like, yes, I know. So like the placenta acts as that protective barrier in the second and third trimester. The timing of everything, it made sense to do surgery first, remove both breasts, and then do 4 cycles of what we call AC chemo. And then the timing of me finishing AC was perfect to where I can have a 4-week break before delivering the baby. And then I jumped back into chemo a week after. Before I had fitted for my prosthetics, because these are just boob inserts in a bra with little pockets and stuff. So before I got these, I would walk around, completely flat. But I've got this big baby bump because these babies that I grow, they're basketballs. They go straight out. And so I would walk around, and I was so thankful at the same time that I was pregnant while being so flat, because I would say, and I'm like, I really just wish I could like jump into some of these people's minds that are seeing me walk by them in the store or wherever. At that point, I hadn't lost my hair, and they're probably going, huh, I'm confused because I'm completely flat, but I've got this big baby bump. After I started losing my hair actually was harder than losing my breasts. It was, and I say this in a joking way, but I really do I feel like if somebody else that's small chested would probably resonate with this. I was a very small A cup before. So I would be like, it's not that much of a difference that they're gone. I was small before anyway. Losing my hair was a lot harder because it is part of someone's identity. And something I really, really dislike is when people say, oh, it'll grow back. It's just hair. And I'm like, don't you think I know that? I know. I've even got some peach fuzz right now, I have a 3-year-old, a 6-year-old, and a 9-year-old. So my 9-year-old, that's my son, he has such a good understanding of everything. And when we explained, just going back to hey, so mommy is going to be carrying someone else's baby. It's not our baby. It's completely another family's baby. And they're going to put the baby in my tummy and I'm going to grow it for them. Breast cancer. Now, when we had to sit them down and they knew something was up because that was, like I said, a really hard day when we got diagnosed. So we told them that night. And my 9-year-old especially was like, what is going on? Why is mom crying? Why is dad crying? We talked about, your body has flowers and it has weeds. And so mommy has lots of flowers in her body and everything, but there's also some weeds and we have to do certain treatments and medicines and surgery from what we were assuming at the time to get the weeds out. So he really understood that. And we told him what it was called. It's called breast cancer. We would tuck him in at night and he'd always be like, I'm sorry that you have, what's it called again, Mom? I was like, breast cancer. And he goes, yeah, I'm sorry that you have breast cancer. And I go, it's okay, honey. And then he goes, no, it's not. And I'm like, you know what? You're right. I'm sorry. It was just an instant reaction. You're right. It's not okay, but it's going to be okay though. The way I see it is when I got my diagnosis, I was a complete wreck and just bawling all day. And then after that, I'm kind of like, wipe the tears away. Okay, what do we do? How do we get rid of it? What do we do next? Let's just get this done. But I'm still a very happy, positive person. Life's too short to be, unhappy. Life's too short to be intentionally rude to people. Life's too short to not laugh about things. Do I, of course, have my moments? Abso-freaking-lutely. I'll have my breakdowns and, negative Nancy thoughts, but that's what they are, is those are just moments. I don't spend whole days doing that. I got to a point where I was like, I honestly feel like I'm thriving, which sounds so ridiculous being in the situation that I'm in. But I also feel really lucky because I know there's so many people out there going through chemo that are having a really hard time with side effects. And I felt like I was cheating chemo. For some reason, I had the minimal side effects, barely anything. I'm so grateful for my body still. The fact that it can carry a baby, the baby is perfectly healthy. I'm so grateful. Like, my body obviously has gone through so much since January, but like, what a freaking powerhouse of a body. I'm like, hell yeah, do your thing. Like, I'm carrying a baby, going through chemo, went through surgery, don't have boobs, don't have hair, but it's still just chugging along. And it's not just like barely making it, it's literally like I said, like thriving.